And Snake.
This is Snake. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi. Hello.
All right. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes. We don't have any video for it, though.
Yeah, I'm about to flip that on.
Okay.
So, what I'm going to actually show y'all will be from the our site, our Dynamic Therapy. That's our therapy company. We'll use it as a reference just because that'll have some data where you can actually see it and see what's going on. So, you can see everything now, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, the way we designed Therapy Sync was so that agency users really only need to sign in, kind of do what they need to do, and then sign out. So, the couple of things we'll go over today are how do you submit like a new referral for a new patient? How do you print out your notes whenever they are, they're done and they're ready for you? Oh, this is y'all are on too much. Probably thought that one's quite a bit different than what y'all had.
That looks better. I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah. Oh, I would choose some yes.
Okay.
He said Adam called in sick
Sorry,
today.
this is the actual one. So, what you'll see here is the home page for any user that signs in that works for an agency. The kind of things that we'll go over are, submitting like new referrals to the system, and then being able to view and print your notes and check on your patient charts. Those are the real key things that agencies have up there. Any questions on any of that, or is there anything else that y'all would like me to go over? Besides those things?
Yeah, just the main thing is sending referrals where they can see when we're going to be seeing their patients on their side of the system and printing the notes. And that's pretty much all they're going to have to do.
So whenever you sign into the system, you'll notice that we have your homepage here has a lot of what you typically do right there on it. That way you don't have to spend a lot of time navigating around. Now, you can get to different things different ways, but you'll notice here where it says send us a patient. And that's going to be where you basically start a new patient in the system. So everything begins as a referral. Whenever you come in here, it'll give you an option. You can say enter a new referral here, or if this is a patient that you've seen like before, so in other words, you referred us this patient, we went out and did therapy on them a year ago, and then we discharged them, and then for whatever reason they're back, we can lump all the data together if you resend it with that same patient, so to speak. If you do choose to do something like that, it will pre-populate a lot of the information for you. So if I come in here and I click on this, you'll notice that it goes ahead and fills out the majority of the referral. The things that it doesn't fill out are, things that are probably changed. So in other words, nursing diagnosis, there are reasons for the referral, which disciplines are needed, stuff like that. But we'll kind of go over all of those different things when we talk about just submitting a referral regularly. It's just nice to know that there's also an ability to say, hey, you guys have seen this patient for us before. before, we'd like to use this. So typically, you'll just say, I want to send a patient, and then say new patient. Anything that has the red asterisk next to it, like right here, is a required field. So if you try to submit this without it, it'll tell you, hey, these are the things that you need to come in and put in. It looks like a lot of information, but really it fills out pretty quick once you get used to it. You have some additional fields that are not required, such as this unique identifier. If you have a system that you use, like your own software or anything like that, then you can come into this unique identifier field and add things in. Or maybe you just have a specific filing system in your office that gives you an opportunity to type whatever you want here. And that way you have that unique identifier visible on things like the patient record, their documentation. A lot of stuff here, whenever you pick it, for example, like if I just pick Medicare here, when I come in to pick my certain start, it'll go ahead and populate my end date based off of a specific Medicare certain period. Emergency of referral, a lot of these things should be pretty straightforward. This is typically, when do we need to see this patient? In other words, if you send me a patient that's urgent, we see them right away. And hopefully within 24 hours, that kind of lets us know we can go in and see the patient. I can. Sorry, Tricia. Is that a little better? Yeah. Okay. So here you can see the calendar. Whenever you come in and say, okay, this is a Medicare patient, their certain start on 12/14. So let's say their cert started on 12/12, and we need to see them, after the cert period. Let's say you're getting in a referral and the cert hasn't started yet. That is okay. They will actually alert the therapy company, hey, this cert hasn't started yet, so don't start seeing the patient yet. So there is a lot there that can to help kind of coordinate getting to go see the patient. Everything else is, like I said, pretty self-explanatory. So you can enter in a doctor here. We have a list of the doctors in the system. If for some reason the doctor isn't in there, you can choose to add one. So if I'm looking through that list and I notice that my doctor is not, I can click in here and I can add their first name, last name, phone number, fax, all of that kind of stuff. So that whenever it comes down to this point, it will actually create that doctor as well. All of this stuff, so in other words, your agency is going to be preset to whichever one you're signed in as. Nurse manager will be whoever's seeing, whichever nurse is going to the patient's home, taking care of the patient. Medical history is straightforward, nursing diagnosis, all of that's pretty straightforward. When it gets down to, for now, I'll put it, but when it gets down to these things, weight-bearing status, we have the typical list of options there. If for some reason you don't know what the weight-bearing status is, or you're not sure about it, you can select that clarify with patient or NP. But we just continue working down the list, filling it out. Homebound status is, these are the kind of things that basically break down whether or why is the patient at home, why are we using home health services. If you need to write anything additional, you can. Parameters for vitals is, so let's say I go out to the patient's home and I run vitals on the patient, and I'm noticing that their heart rate's a little high. If you put in here, patient not to exceed heart rate, whatever rate, and it'll show up on the documentation while the therapist is doing it. And the therapist can even then go and say, hey, I took this patient's vitals, and they were above or they were outside of parameters. So it's a way to kind of note things so that the treating staff can even go in and see and help out with things like that. Down the line, we get to the reason of referral here. You can select multiple depending on however many you need. And you can also select which disciplines are needed. If you select a discipline that it may not be possible for the therapy company to staff, they can simply staff the ones that they can, and then they'll be able to alert you and tell you, hey, we could not staff OT or S. That way, you need to see about doing something for it. But once you make your choices, if you need to upload a file, you can even do that here. If you have any kind of special documentation of this patient or any concerns or anything like that, you can upload a PDF or JPEG file, which is just a simple image. And then whenever it's done, you hit send referral. Once I'm gonna put in my doctor's list. So whenever it's done, you should get this big page here that says, all right, success, you send your referral. From that point on, it's in the therapy company's hands, but you'll want to be able to kind of constantly come back and check in on those patients, right, and see when they're getting taken care of and things. Once they accept the patient and they forward it out and they start treating with therapy, there's two key things that you'll need. One is you'll be able to need to go check the record and see how they're doing, follow the plan of care, things like that, and get notes. To go to the record, it's as easy as picking this drop down and looking for your patient. When you're at the patient and you hit retrieve, it's going to take you to this page, which has all of their record info. All right, Tricia, she has a question. What's up?
How do you know that it accepts the patient?
I'm sorry?
How do you know that the patient has been accepted?
Typically, we rely on communication between the therapy company and them. What you'll see is, for one, we always push the communication. There's a lot that the system can do to tell you, but until we have a flawless way of doing it, we always say, hey, make sure you let them know, yeah, we did get this patient. You can also tell because you'll pretty much immediately see patients popping up in your list once they're accepted. So if you sent that one and they do not get it, typically they'll call you back and say, hey, we couldn't staff this one. But if they could and they forwarded it out to the therapist, then immediately it'll start popping up there.
And Trish, for us, it'll stay the same way. For us, it'll stay the same way. For me and you, it'll stay the same way. When you have somebody that's like a therapy only, or if you're sending somebody, just send me a message, or you don't even have to unless it's a therapy only. I'm going to get them, and unless I call you and say we're not taking this person, which never happens, then you'll know I've accepted it.
Okay, so if it's a therapy only and I get it on a Tuesday and on Wednesday, you'll just let me know if you can't do it or not. Therapy only.
Right, yeah. If it's a therapy only and we need to be going the same day as a nurse, then me and you need to coordinate when we're doing it and get on the same page. But other than that, I will have them, but don't hesitate to call.
And Holly asked if there are email alerts. We do email alerts for certain things in the system, but less so for the agency side, just because we have the in-system messaging for stuff, and that's guaranteed to be like HIPAA compliant because it's behind all of our security. So when it comes to like sending emails about things, we do it a lot for the therapy side, like, hey, you received a new referral, go check your referral inbox. But not so much for the agency side, because typically that's going to involve patient data, things like that. So kind of going back to where we were, whenever you need to check in on that patient, you can see, we'll pull up the record here, and it shows you the entire record. So you start with demographic info, the medical information. Then as you scroll down, you'll be able to see the therapy involved. If need be, it has their numbers here, so you can make a quick call out to them. Also, if you were to click on these links, it lets you send them an instant message. Now, like I said earlier, and 1 second, Tricia, and I'll get to your question. Like I said earlier, the in-system messaging is behind all of our security. So the security of our servers, the security of the system, and everything else. So it is safe and fine and HIPAA compliant to be able to send patient information or anything like that through these methods. What was your question, Tricia?
Well, so do we still go back to the old-fashioned way? I mean, I guess this is more geared to Heather. Do you not want therapy notes from hospitals, et cetera, anymore, or we're just going to be just doing the referral sheet?
That's where on that referral where he showed you earlier, where you can upload those documents, you'd scan them in as a file into your computer and upload them in that. Can you go back to that page, Josh? Like a referral page. That's where you would upload like the 50 sheets or whatever from the hospital you would send us. And if you don't know how to scan it in, have somebody show you right after we get off this webinar, because it's really easy. And so
Yeah, I don't have a clue.
you go to that choose file right there, and that's where you can upload anything that you have from the hospital or anything pertaining to the patient that you want. That would be. It would also kind of be a good place for bath schedules to go. If you have some, it's not, if we need them, we can request them, but that is a spot where those could go if they're a person that we normally request those for.
And any uploaded files will show here on the record. So basically everybody who's involved will have access to them. Alright. So carrying on. Here, when you come to the patient record, this gives you a chance to see everybody who's involved. Contact them. We give you the ability to see your visits for this patient. So you'll notice that any of them that are scheduled, you can't click on them, but when they're completed, you pop it open, and the next thing you'll notice is next to each note that's on this visit, because you can't have, like a Tenetti or something along with the evaluation, there will be a view link, and that can let you pop in and view the note. Now, this isn't where you print your notes. This is if you just need to go pull up a single note, right? When we say, hey, let's get all of our notes, we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But this gives you the ability to go in and view a note. If there's a problem, you can contact your admins there, or you can contact our support team, and they can help get something changed or fixed if it needs to be. And then you'll be able to come back here and review it, make sure it looks good, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you can just view the notes, check everything out, go right back to the patient record. What you'll also be able to see is you can click on this calendar, and it will show you this patient's frequency and all the plotted visits for it. Also, if a visit gets missed, it will have a red mist alongside it. So I'm reading one more question, sorry. Right, majority of the documentation will be done through the system. So, I think I understand Holly's question here. So, that all the therapy documentation will be done in here. If there's a missed visit, there's actually a missed visit form that gets filled out, and then that will show up in what we'll talk about here in a little bit is your print queue. So here, this lets you see the plan of care for the patient, essentially the plotted visit against their frequency, and then allows you to check for anything like a visit being missed or completed. You can see that here as well. If there were other disciplines, so example being like we're seeing this patient for PT and OT, you would see PT and then right next to it OT, and their visits are color coded just like they are on the record here. OT has this sort of beige color. Keeping moving down the line, you'll notice that the exercise program would also show here. This patient, our system didn't have any exercises. And then down below that is the credentials for the therapist. So, you see our supervisor is Debbie Morris. These are her various credentials, their expiration date. If need be, the therapy company can share the actual credentials with you. So upon request, you can request out to them and say, hey, I need Debbie Morris's professional license. And they can share it with you, and you'll be able to get it out of the system. Likewise, as comments. So comments, we like to say don't use these for urgent information. In other words, if there's like a patient that's going into the hospital or a patient's out of town or something needs to be transmitted quickly, it's better to go to phone or email, something like that. But it is an easy way to come in here and comment on the kinds of things that are happening. So if a patient goes into the hospital, you'll see a comment get put in by the system. If a therapist goes out to that patient's home and had a problem getting in to see it, a lot of times they'll comment on the record. So just different things that can help you stay apprised of what the specific story of the patient is. Any questions on any of this information? One of the things I will bring attention to is this patient was hospitalized, so you'll notice we actually have the original estimated number of visits, and then we have the total. So the original was what their frequency would have come out to be had they not gone into the hospital. Total number of estimated visits. Now, after we did post-hospital, what happened? You'll notice that if a patient goes into the hospital, you can click this button, and it will go ahead and give you the alert to call the admin at their number. So this was our number, obviously, but to let them know the admin starts the starts the hospitalization process. Later on, if you have a patient that is coming out of the hospital and you need to let the therapy company know, you can click on this and say resume care, and that will actually send the referral back into the company. You can update it with anything that happened from the hospital and things like that, but it'll be essentially the exact same form that you had when you first put in the referral. Majority of that data will be filled out already. So we've gone over how do you put a new patient in the system. We've gone over kind of being able to see your visit. Except there's an easier way to even see some of the visits that are taking place, and that is this weekly schedule right here. So because this is a snapshot of our own system, you won't see a whole lot of visits listed here. But the idea is in this list, you'll see like under Wednesday, if there were any visits today, you would see them listed out. And it would tell you the patient that's being seen and the person that's going to see them and the kind of visit it's going to be. So if it was going to be a reassessment or a standard or a discharge, you'd be able to see that on your weekly schedule right here. The last kind of thing that we wanted to talk about, the ability to print notes. What ends up happening is we have something called the print queue. So if the therapy company goes and they see patients for today, right? All of those notes that get submitted and finished will be marked as not printed. What that means is you can actually come in here and say, oh, I'm going to print notes, and just click on print queue, and you'll see all the notes listed here. So to show a little better what you could expect, I'm going to go pull up a previous job so you can see it. what we get here is all of the notes in a printer-friendly format, ready to go. When you print these, it breaks them onto their own pages, so you don't have to worry about having half of patient A's note on the same page as half of patient B's note. It'll go ahead and break these out. You can literally just come in here and print this just like you would any other page, and it will go straight to your printer and run out.
Hey, Josh, I just want to say that this is where you can right-click the page and go to a print option, or some people's computer system you have to click on the note and hit Control P, and then it'll bring up your option to print. It just kind of depends on your system.
Correct. And it, like she was saying, it depends on which browser, things like that you use, but most of them will have an option if you right-click along the top that says print. So it should be very similar to just about anything else that you use. Whenever you do that, it will go ahead and break them all off into their own sections and things like that. Now, the neat thing about the print queue was it automatically marks those notes as printed whenever you use it. So if 10 notes got done today, and tomorrow I go in there and I run my print queue and print those notes, it marks them as printed. And I don't have to go in and fiddle with dates or fiddle with which patient I want. I just walk in and I say, yeah, I need to print my unprinted notes, basically, and that gets me all of them. So if you don't print for 2 or 3 days, it can build up, and you can then print it out. We always like to push people to print daily because that keeps the batches low, makes it go faster, that kind of stuff. But it's totally up to how y'all do it. So the print queue is the typical way of getting your notes, just because when you click right here, it's going to show you everything that wasn't printed yet. One of the things you'll notice in the case of when we have one is we have another option here called Other Print Options. So whenever you click Print, you're given a couple of different options. The first one is that print queue I was talking about. The second one is the Other Print Option. When you click on this, it gives you a couple of different ways to find the notes that you want to print, right? So I can say, oh, I want to print all the notes for this week, so 12/7 to 12/14. Or I can say, I want to print all the notes for Kim Baker. All of these things allow us to take different ways to view the information. Or you can even come in and do a combination of the two. When I do this, let me go ahead and pull one real quick. We'll go back. Patient and... Right. So this is the same view you would see with that print queue when there were notes that hadn't been printed yet. When I pull this up, you'll notice it gives me two options. One, print all notes, and another one that is download as PDF. So print all notes takes us to exactly what we saw before, where all the notes are on one page looking, and you right-click it, and you hit print, or you hit Control-P, and it prints it. What download all as PDF does, and it's especially handy if you use a software like Kinzer for your agency, is it will take each one of these notes, it will convert it into a PDF document, and then it puts all of this batch together in one zip file and you download it. So a lot of softwares like Kinzer and things like that allow you to upload PDFs into them. When it comes to the exact process of how to do that for you, you'll need to consult your software provider. But a lot of them will take PDF documents. So this basically just starts a batch of all of these and turns them into PDFs that you can download. Any questions about any of that? Okay. The good thing about all of this is that your documentation turnarounds are really quick. As soon as a note is submitted, and if they, were doing it online or if they did it offline and they synced up their data, you'll have immediate access to that note once it's ready. So you don't have to wait a couple of days or anymore for things to be delivered. You literally have same-day delivery. We'll go over this last option here real quick because it's helpful. Let's say you clicked on the print queue and you pulled it up. In the middle of printing it, something went wrong, right? Maybe your printer had an issue or something like that. So not all the notes got printed successfully. We give you this option here called the print log that shows you all the print jobs that you ran recently and allows you to reprint them, so in other words, view them again, or to download them as PDF. It's just a handy way of being able to go in and say, oh, hey, I need to get those notes again because I didn't quite get all of them, or anything like that.
Ashley and Shelly, I saw your question. This stuff stays in the system forever.
Then why do you have to print it?
Well, because for you guys to have it in your soft charts at the office, you need to print it.
Why would we have to? We don't print nothing else. I don't think we're not doing stuff. We're not doing charts now. No, we don't do charts now.
I don't believe you guys will be doing the printing. I believe it'll probably be Cindy because she deals with all the notes that we hand in now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and some of the things to kind of think about on that too is our initial evals come through with the physician signature line. So obviously we don't have the physician signature in the system. So if that's something you need, it'll have to be sent off, that kind of stuff.
And that's something as an agency, each agency will have to decide who is going to do that. And because I can't make that decision for you. You need to decide as an agency yourself who is going to be doing that printing, if you want it to just be one person, and who's going to be getting those evals sent off for the signatures that you guys do now once we get the notes to you.
I have a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead.
My first question is as far as the change of status form and the 30-day assessment forms, are they also going to have signature lines?
Yes. So the 30-day reassessment, and there's actually a system option for that, but the 30-day reassessments will. The only time that they might not is if, we made this a system option because it varies from state to state what people want and things like that. But the only time that a physician signature wouldn't show up on a reassessment would be that the option for it was turned off and there was no plan of care change. So in other words, if, let's say we did a reassessment of the patient, we didn't change the goals, we didn't change our treatment, we didn't change any of that information, the frequency, then no plan of care change, no physician signature. But if there is one, then it will put it on there. And then if you all require it all the time, so in other words, no matter whether or not there was a plan of care change, you always want the physician signature on there, then the system can be configured so that it will always put it on there.
And I have those set up to be on there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I was wondering also if this system is going to keep track of when a 30-day assessment needs to be done to help the therapist.
We actually have a suite of tools for both admin and then alerts for therapists. And so what it'll end up doing is on their homepage, the therapist will get an alert saying, hey, a 30-day assessment needs to be done within the next, X amount of time for this patient. So they have real-time alerts on their homepage, and then the admins even have tools to be able to audit and check for that.
Okay, and then they'll also be able to see their frequency when they're coming to the end, so they know whether they need to discharge or ask additional orders to continue therapy.
Right. They will have access to all that information. able to go in, give a new patient, check out how the patients are doing, print notes, those kind of things. And a lot of that, like I said, you can do from right here on your homepage. You'll notice that, things like hospitalized patients or therapy orders when they come in and things like that will also be alerted up here. It'll say, hey, you have new orders you need to look at. But for the most part, it's very straightforward. As always, and typically you'll see it over here. You won't see it on this one because it's one of our archived sites for dynamic therapy. But there's usually a little green help button that if you're having an issue with the system, you can click that and it'll send a message to our support team. You can fill in some of the information like, I'm trying to do X, Y, Z, I'm having a problem. And then they will get back to you as soon as they get a chance to, which is typically pretty quick turnaround. Anything else?
All right, as long as nobody has any questions, that'll be it. And we do not start using this until January 1st. After January 1st, everything is through the system. All referrals have to be put in through the system.
Thank you.
As always, we are, our team is here to support, so if y'all have any questions or any problems, you just holler at us, okay?
Thank you.
Hey, not a problem. Sorry for the inconvenience today.
That's all right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.